Kia ora koutou. Welcome. Day 18, Sunday. And I hope everyone's doing well in their bubble. I notice I have had a really slow start to the day today, which is kind of nice. Just wanting to say that what I'm offering is a trauma sensitive yoga practice. And sometimes in doing yoga can bring up feelings, sensations, and at any time you're welcome to opt out, to turn the video off, to do what's right for you, maybe moving into a resting form. So my plan today is to start standing and doing some repetitive movement, moving to the floor and finishing with a few forms on your back. So if you like, preparing yourself for your practice, maybe taking a look around the room, taking a look around your bubble, checking out where you are in your space, maybe looking behind. If you like, taking a breath, and perhaps bringing your awareness to notice where you place your feet. So if you like, you could be seated or standing. The choice is yours. So if you like, finding or bringing your awareness to notice where you place your feet. Maybe looking, perhaps lifting and lowering your heels, maybe lifting and lowering your toes. If you like, bringing your torso in line with your ankles or your shoulders in line with your seat, maybe bringing your head to balance on your shoulders. Finding your expression of standing moana and breathing. If you like, turning your hands out. Always welcome to arrange your hands in whatever way you like. Possibly turning your hands out. Maybe taking a moment in stillness. Perhaps noticing your breathing. Then in your own time, maybe lifting and lowering your arms. So you may like to bring your hands to touch above your head, or maybe lifting and lowering in another way. So if you like, moving your arms. So in your own way, maybe moving your arms and breathing. Finding your way to neutral in your own time. Knowing you're always welcome to stay longer in the form. Maybe lifting and lowering. If you like, perhaps leaning forward. So one option could be to bring your hands to your knees, perhaps tilting forward, or if it's available, maybe bringing your elbows to your knees, possibly tucking your chin and breathing. So at any time, you're welcome to move in and out of the form. Also welcome to move in the form. So if you like, leaning forward, maybe moving in and out of your form. Maybe coming back to standing in your own time. And then if you're interested, maybe lifting your arms Perhaps bring your hands to the floor, and if you like, moving into what we sometimes call lunge. So if you're seated, maybe moving to the side of your chair, perhaps dropping your knee, arranging your arms in a way that works for you, maybe extended, perhaps at your side. So in your own time, possibly exploring your variation of a lunge, perhaps stepping forward and breathing. You're welcome to lean forward, perhaps bringing your hands to the ground, or maybe bring your hands to maybe a book or something you can rest your hands on. And breathe in. Then if you like, moving into a resting form, maybe child form. So today, if you like, sitting back on your ankles, perhaps resting your forehead on your hands. Another option could be to extend your arms. That's a choice. Finding a resting form that works for you, perhaps bringing your elbows to your knees, maybe resting your forehead on your hands. If you're seated, and breathing. Then if you like, maybe exploring cats and cows. So perhaps dipping your spine, lifting your chin and looking up. And then in your own time, curling your spine, tucking your chin and looking down. So you're welcome to put those two forms together, maybe looking up, possibly looking down. If you're seated, perhaps lifting through your front torso and looking up, possibly tucking your chin, curling your spine and looking down. If it's available to you, you might like to coordinate your breathing with your movement. Maybe breathing in as you move in one direction, and if you like, breathing out as you move in the opposite direction. If you like, breathing and moving. Maybe curling your spine and looking down. Perhaps tucking your spine and looking up. And in your own time, perhaps moving back into resting, maybe sitting back on your ankles. If you like, resting your forehead on your hands. Another option could be to extend your arms. That's a choice. If you're interested, perhaps bringing your awareness to notice that you're breathing, that your breath is with you. It ebbs and flows, comes and goes. It's always there. Then in your own time, maybe moving back to all fours, and this time coming to explore your lunge on your other side. So maybe moving to kneeling and stepping your opposite foot forward. So maybe exploring your lunge on your other side. Perhaps with your hands on the ground, maybe on your knee, or possibly out in front. If you're on a chair, you may like to explore this on your other side, so maybe turning in the opposite direction and dropping your knee. Always knowing you're welcome to move in the form. Anytime you could move in the form. And in your own time, finding your way back to your resting, maybe sitting back on your ankles, perhaps resting your forehead in your hands, or if you like, extending your arms in front. You might notice the sensation of your breath. So I realised the other day I've been calling this form, I've been wondering what it was, and sometimes this form is called a Tibetan. So I'm going to offer it from all fours first, then the chair, and then if you wish, maybe lifting your torso. So what you may like to do is move to all fours and perhaps stepping your hands in front. You may like to bring your weight to your hands and perhaps looking up. In your own time, maybe moving your torso back towards your ankles, perhaps taking a breath, and maybe looking up. Perhaps moving forward and back in your own rhythm. If you're seated, maybe bringing hands to your knees or towards your feet. If you like, raising your arms and looking up. So if you like, bringing hands to your knees, raising your arms and looking up. Maybe bringing your hands closer to your feet, raising your arms and looking up. And if it's available to you, another option could be tucking your toes, maybe lifting your torso. Then if you like, in your own time, maybe bring weight to your hands and looking up. So lifting your torso, perhaps bringing weight to your hands and looking up. At any time, you can move in and out of your form, perhaps finding your way to resting. In your own time, maybe finding your way to resting, perhaps sitting your back on your ankles, maybe resting your forehead on your hands and breathing. If you like, bringing your awareness to notice the sensation of your breath, or perhaps where you make contact with the ground. Then if you're interested, maybe sitting back on your ankles and perhaps moving into a form where you may experiment with bending your knees. So this may be tucking your toes and coming to kneeling. That could be one option. Or maybe coming to kneeling. Or another option could be to squat. If you like, finding a way to bend your knees. And if you're seated, what you may like to do is perhaps lift your knees, maybe lifting both knees. If you like, lifting your knee, maybe lifting and lowering. You're also welcome to use the chair for support, maybe experimenting with bending your knees. If you like, bending your knees and in your own time, perhaps finding your way to a seated form, maybe on your mat, maybe on your chair. Finding your expression of seated or standing moana. And breathing. If you're interested in exploring boat form, if you're on your mat, what you may like to do is bring your feet or heels to the ground, maybe bending your knees, perhaps raising your arms. So if you're on your chair, maybe lifting one foot off the ground and raising your arms. Another option could be to lift both feet off the ground. So maybe a bit wobbly today, so maybe lifting both feet off the ground and breathing. So if you like, finding your boat form, perhaps lifting your feet off the ground, maybe one foot, maybe both feet. You might feel sensation in your abdomen. So perhaps exploring your variation of boat and breathing. One option could be to lift and lower your leg, possibly feeling sensation in your abdomen. Then in your own time, guiding yourself back to neutral, and if you like, maybe bringing the soles of your feet together. And you're welcome to sit in whatever way you like, maybe cross-legged, perhaps legs extended. And perhaps leaning forward. Maybe bring your hands to your knees, or possibly further towards your feet. And if you like, tucking your chin, maybe leaning forward and breathing. If you're interested, you could experiment with moving your chin. Perhaps noticing your breath is with you and knowing at any time you can move in and out of the form. Finding your way to upright in your own time. If you like, extending your legs and perhaps bringing your hands behind you and leaning back. You might feel sensation in your shoulders. You might feel nothing at all. At any time you can move forward and back. If you're seated on your chair, you may like to move a little bit forward, perhaps bringing your hands behind you, maybe leaning back and breathing. finding your way to your upright in your own time. Just remembered I sometimes suggest maybe having a cushion under your seat. A little bit of cushion, but that will do. So the purpose for this is it can help support your spine. Maybe sitting up. And if you like, experimenting with rotating your feet. Maybe rotating your ankles, like one at a time, or maybe both feet together. Perhaps moving your feet. Perhaps looking at your feet moving. And finding your way back to neutral. And if you like, bringing the sole of your foot to the side of your leg. You're welcome to bring it at any spot. You're also welcome to offer some support for that leg. If you're seated, what you may like to do is bring your ankle to your other ankle, or possibly bringing your ankle over your knee. So I should do that from the chair. So if you're seated, maybe extending your leg, perhaps bringing your ankle to your other ankle, or if it's available, bringing your ankle to rest on your upper leg. In your own time, you may like to switch, perhaps bringing your opposite foot to the side of your leg or ankle to your ankle. If you like, using a cushion, something to support your leg, and breathing. You're always welcome to lean forward. It's always a choice. And maybe sitting up tall, perhaps bringing the sole of your foot to the side of your leg and breathing. Finding your way back to both legs extended. And if you're interested in exploring a twist, you may like to cross your legs. If you like, maybe switching which way you cross your legs. Often we automatically cross them the same way. So if you want to explore a twist, maybe sitting up tall. If you like, bringing your chin to your left shoulder and your right hand to your left knee and sitting up tall. If it's available, maybe bringing your left hand behind you and sitting up tall. And then in your own time, perhaps experimenting with twisting. You might want to see what that feels like. Maybe moving a little, maybe twisting, perhaps rotating your spine and breathing. And at any time, you're welcome to switch, moving back to centre, perhaps sitting up tall. You like turning your chin to your opposite shoulder, moving your left hand to your right knee and your right hand behind you, sitting up tall. And if you're interested, experimenting with twisting. Putting my heater on, it's just a wee bit chilly. So maybe twisting. You might feel sensation through your torso, but always know it's quite normal to feel nothing at all. finding your way back to neutral. Maybe switching the direction in which you cross your legs, if you're crossing your legs, and perhaps experimenting with leaning to your side. Maybe bringing your hand to the ground, perhaps leaning to your side. If it's of interest to you, maybe raising your arm and breathing. You're welcome to switch, possibly moving from one side to your other side in your own rhythm. You might feel sensation through the side of your torso. You might feel nothing at all. If you like, bring your awareness to notice where you make contact with the ground. Perhaps leaning to your side. Finding your way back to your neutral. Maybe sitting up tall in your expression of seated moanga. Perhaps noticing your breathing. And if you're interested, maybe moving your shoulders. One option could be to lift and lower. Another option could be to bring your fingertips to your shoulders and maybe moving your elbows. So you could choose how to move your elbows, maybe in large circles or perhaps little circles, if you like. Moving your shoulders, maybe moving your elbows. And breathing. Then if you like, finding your way to neutral. And if you're interested in moving onto your back for some floor-based forms on your back, or you could remain seated in your chair and initially maybe experimenting with moving your knees. There's a couple of options, maybe there's more than a couple, maybe moving one knee, perhaps moving both knees, or maybe moving both knees together. You may like to sit towards the front of your chair. It's up to you. Maybe moving your knees. So if you're on your back, you may like to extend your legs. Perhaps taking a moment to notice where you make contact with the ground. And in your own time, maybe bringing your feet flat on the floor, close to your torso. I'm going to offer a couple of options for moving your knees. So one could be extending your arms. So maybe extending your arms. And if you like, bringing your knees to rest on one side. And you're always welcome to have a cushion for support. So maybe bringing your knees to one side, maybe resting them there. And if you like, being guided by your body, perhaps lifting your knees through midline and possibly bringing your knees to rest on your other side. So you get to choose when to move. You get to choose how to move. Another option could be to bring your feet flat on the ground and moving your knees from one side of your mat or to the other side of your mat, or rug, or towel, whatever you're using. Maybe moving your knees from one side to your other side. And a third option could be lifting your feet off the ground, possibly bringing your hands around your knees and moving your knees. And you might feel some sensation where you make contact with the ground. You might notice a sensation where you make contact with the ground. Always knowing it's normal not to feel sensation. So the next form is a half bridge. And I'm just going to move a little bit down on my mat. So what you may like to do is bring your feet close to your torso. Let your feet flat on the ground. Perhaps bring your feet close to your torso. And if you like, pressing your feet into the ground, and your torso may lift, and you may like to lift your arms. At any time, you're welcome to lift and lower. So if you're seated in a chair, maybe pressing your feet into the ground and lifting your arms. If you're on your mat, maybe lifting and lowering. Noticing your breath is with you, ebbs and flows, comes and goes. It's always there. If you're on your chair, you may like to experiment with bringing your hands to your upper legs. You might feel the sensation of muscles moving. When if you're pressing your feet into the ground, you might feel the sensation of muscles moving. And it's only a possibility. So for the last part of the practice, I'm going to offer a couple of options. So this is the last form. So what you may like to do is possibly bring your feet to rest on a chair. And another option could be to bring your legs up the wall. And so one way of doing this could be to move your torso close to the wall, like lying down, and now a bit close to the heater, and walking your feet up the wall and breathing. So if you like, legs up the wall, legs on a chair, or another option could be to move your toes. So if you're seated in a chair or lying on your mat, maybe moving your toes, maybe lifting and lowering. If you're on your mat, you might notice your body begins to move. So maybe moving your toes and breathing. So that's some choices for the last form. And I'm going to offer a brief body scan exercise. So today's a little bit cold. You might like to find a rug or something to cover you, maybe a cushion under your knees or under your feet. So finding your resting form. And if you like, taking a breath. Perhaps bringing your awareness to notice that you're breathing. And as you breathe out, perhaps bringing your attention to notice the support of the surface beneath you. Today I'm going to offer a slightly different body scan exercise. You're welcome to follow my words. You're also welcome to tune my voice out. So in your own time, you may like to bring your awareness to notice where your head makes contact with the ground. Or if you're seated, maybe bringing your hand behind your head. If you like, bringing your awareness to notice where your back makes contact with the ground. Or if you're in a chair, pushing back on that chair. Sensation of where your seat makes contact with the ground. Maybe moving. Like bringing your awareness to your legs and where your legs make contact with the ground or the surface beneath them. Maybe moving them. If you're interested, just bringing your awareness to notice the sensation of your feet. Maybe you can feel the sensation of where your heels make contact with the ground. You may like to move your feet, lifting and lowering. Then if you like, bringing your awareness to notice sensation in your abdomen, perhaps bringing your hand there, maybe arching your spine. Araha, sensation at your heart center. Sensation in your neck. Sensation in both arms together. Maybe moving your arms. Sensation in your jaw. Maybe moving your jaw. And sensation at your eyebrow center. So in your own time, perhaps taking a breath. And as you breathe out, you may like to bring your awareness to notice where you make contact with the ground. By moving, perhaps looking. I'm going to offer some silence for a couple of minutes and then an opportunity for you to close your practice. So do know there's no hurry to move. And you may like to take a moment to acknowledge your practice. Perhaps it was to nurture yourself, possibly befriend your body, maybe connect with yourself. So in your own time, perhaps taking a moment to acknowledge your practice to yourself. So thank you for practicing with me. Thank you for being focused during this time of lahui, of lockdown, of being in our bubbles. Take care and travel safe in your bubble. I look forward to practicing with you tomorrow. Same time, 12 midday. Ka kite anō.